Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, everyone. This is actually week 10 of the semester, and I actually cannot believe it. Time flies, isn't it? Okay, so in this class, we are going to talk about audio in teaching and learning. What do we mean by audio? Is it just speaking in front of the students, or we should consider, some conditions, some requirements, and so on. So we are going to discuss in details what is the role of audio in teaching and learning in this class. So please stay focused and stay tuned. So to actually start with understanding the role of audio in teaching and learning, let me ask you this question. Which learning activities consume the major portion of students' classroom time? Is it listening or speaking or writing? Well, it is actually listening, because students spend 50% of their time inside the classroom just listening. So from here we can say that listening is the more important, activity that we need to concentrate, and we need to make sure that the students listen whatever is going to achieve the learning or class objectives at the end of the day. So listening, it's not just about hearing, guys, because, for example, if you are a teacher and then you go to class and then start your lesson, you want to make sure not only the students can hear you, but they can actually understand you. They can follow your points all over the way. So listening includes both hearing and comprehending the audio as well. So for the effective listening for learning includes accurate hearing. They need to make sure everything that your voice, for example, is clear, your volume, your tone of the voice is clear. You want to make sure to actually go around the class, not only stand in one point, so that only the front rows that they can hear you and the other cannot. You want to make sure for the accurate hearing. And then focused listening. You want to make sure all of the class are actually focused with you. There is nothing going on in the class, whether they play with their smartphone and so on. And then reinforcement to stimulate neural connections. You want to make sure to actually get feedback, continuous evaluation from time to time. Try to not only speak, try to ask questions from time to time, from point to point. Ask questions. Make sure that they actually following you. If you don't want to ask questions, make sure to ask them for their feedback. For example, if you are explaining about something, guys, is everything clear? Do you want me to repeat this point? Is this point clear to you? Is it understood? And so on. So this is what we want to make sure inside the class. So why audio in teaching and learning is so important? Because we can actually give them the chance, the students, the chance to, for example, listening to an author, to read her own book or her own article and so on. By doing that, it's going to be actually two ways of learning, not only one way. And it could be helpful for achieving the impressions, delivering the impressions behind the text. If you give the students only the text, and then you actually cannot expect to get the whole picture of the event or the whole picture of the idea uh, of what's written. You need to make sure by using the audio. For example, if you are teaching kindergarten students, then you want to make sure to not showing them the elephant only, but playing the audio for them about the elephant audio or the elephant sound. It will help a lot for reaching the achievement for your lesson. And it's actually easy access for verbal examples. If you want to teach them how to pronounce some words, you need to play some native, for example, native audio file, so that they can hear the actual, the real pronunciation from a native speaker, and so on. So audio has a lot of benefits for our students. So that is why we need to make sure that we mix all media, all audio, images, presentations, everything that has its own role, and this is the role of audio in the teaching and learning process. So again, audio is very important in teaching and learning, and here are some of the advantages. It's actually very easy to implement in the class, and there's actually most of the time no cost at all. Maybe you can download something from the internet and use it inside your classroom, and if you don't like the way that it is, if you download it from the internet and it's not really going to achieve your objective, then you can actually record yourself doing the audio, and it provides a verbal message. For example, if you give the students the text only, it's not going to show them everything behind the text. If you read it to them, using some tone and some voices, it's going to be very easy for them to understand. And it offers current information and provides free access to achieve the audio files and so on. And the ideal for teaching second languages, as I just mentioned, it's very ideal for teaching any languages. You just bring any voice that is spoken by a native and then play it for your students. And it's actually stimulating as well. It's going to help the students to live the real event, or live the real word that is this words or this story coming from. And it's very hard actually to damage, because it's easy to use and portable and so on. And of course, there is actually some limitations that we need to be aware of. For example, the copyright concerns. Nowadays, everybody's going toward YouTube and social media and so on. But you need to take into consideration the copyright concerns. Not everything is free to use, so you need to actually choose or select some audio that has no copyright. Or if you want to use something that comes with copyright, you need to actually mention the copyright and credit the work to their original people. And it doesn't monitor attention. Usually when you usually when we use audio only, not a video, for example, it's actually less attractive for the students. So if you use video in front of them, is going to be catchy, because you are using images, movies, whatsoever beside the audio. And for the pacing and fixed sequence, it's actually not really flexible to use in all objectives. For example, if you want to teach them about animals, it's not going to actually help you a lot unless you use some pictures and then play the sound of the animal. And it's difficulty in locating segment. Yes, it's actually going to be very struggling for you to find the proper audio that you are going to use. Potential for accidental deletion or something, because sometimes we lose a lot of files and data, and this could be the case. Needs hardware, software, or digital audio. Of course, you need some device to play this audio, but nowadays everybody has a smartphone that can play audios, videos, and so on. So we actually can pass on this limitation. And there must be, or there may be some noises that interface from other sources. So you need to make sure that to play the audio first before you play it into inside the class for your students. So you as a teacher, when you want to use audio for learning, you want to make sure first about the quality of the message. That's why I mentioned before, you need to listen to the audio. Is it going to actually help you or achieve the objective of the lesson or not? Is the quality of the audio itself, is it clear, hearable for the students? Is the accent as well, uh, you know, uh, can the students understand the accent? Because we do have a lot of accents. So all these can actually fall into the quality of the message. And then articulation of the message, is it going to help you with the objective of your lesson or not? And for the organization and presentation of the message, use the audio only when you need it. Do not overuse it, because it's going to be very boring for the students. The quality of the audio medium, and this is actually all about the sound itself. Is it clear? Is it hearable for the students? Do you have the proper speakers and so on? And all depends on the classroom size. And for the receiver comprehension, you want to make sure for two parts. If you guys remember the communication and education, the encoding and decoding. Encoding, making sure the students not only hear the audio, they can understanding the audio by decoding the message, understanding the message. And here are some factors that additional factors that you need to take into consideration when it comes to teaching and learning using audio. So for audio uses, it's actually unlimited. Anybody can use this for any circumstances, any kind of instruction. And it could be self-paced instruction, meaning that the students can learn by themselves wherever or whenever it's convenient for them. Then they can play and learn. And it could be used for pre-recorded materials, and it could be added to presentations. If you have presentation, and then you can just add this audio, play together. It's going to be a great addition to the presentation. And it could be actually used by both teacher and students. Now we need to differentiate between teacher use and student use. For teacher use, we have the prepared recording, professional development, evaluate students' learning. And for the prepared recordings, we have direct instructions. If you want to give direct instructions to your students, you can record a video for them. And it could be for skills practice. You want to for example, prepare them for a linguistic class or whatsoever. And then for practice listening skills, some students lack they have they actually not very good in listening. So you want to practice them with especially when using another language. If they are weak in listening, they cannot speak actually. So you need to develop their practice listening. And for the student use, it could be for interviews, presentations, record file trips, recite poetry, and so on, audiobooks, music, and so on. So audio, has a lot of use and a lot of implications in a classroom. Some of them for the teacher and some of them for the students as well. So it's not limited to teachers only. And for accessing the audio, it could be, a wide variety of possibilities here. First, we have the streaming audio, where the files are sent in packets, and then they could be listened while the file is downloaded first. And it's available via the internet. This is for streaming audio. And it's actually, most of the time, it's free software. And for the podcasting, it could be recorded into MP3 file and then download from the internet. And if you are a subscriber for the podcasting channel, it could be just like YouTube. If you are a subscriber to any channel, then when they upload a new video, you will get a notification and so on. And for the internet use, it's most of the time live and recorded from all around the world, and you have a very wide variety of programs, news, sports, music, and so on. And for the portable digital audio, players can store thousands of songs and audio files, and we can do this actually in our smartphones nowadays. And finally, with the audio recorder, it's like a digital recorders, cassette recorders, and so on. And cassette recorders, I don't think anybody nowadays using it. We actually do have digital recorder inside our smartphone nowadays, so it's actually no need to buy the digital recorder anymore. So up to now, we have learned about audio implications, conditions, limitations, advantages, and so on. And this part of the slides, we are going to discuss about audio format, the different format, and advantages, disadvantages, and so on. Now, if we want to compare the audio format between these two categories, which are analog audio and digital audio, we must understand that analog audio is the basic for any digital audio. So digital audio consists actually of analog audio. There is no 100% digital audio system. So in the analog signal, it goes up and down, and there might be some missing information between these two points. While on the other hand, the digital audio has, it's like a solid information, whether it's there or not there. Now, for the digital audio, in digital recording, the sounds are actually transformed into binary information, which means it consists of a series of ones and zeros. So many formats of digital audio are there, and it's actually easy to use. Many ways to access the files, for example, streaming, podcasting, all these considered to be digital audio. And there is a lot of educational material sources, CD-ROM, downloading from the internet, and it could be played by a variety of players, which we are going to discuss later on. And here are some of the differences between both digital audio and analog. For digital, for example, we have the CD, which is up to 80 minutes of audio, quickly locate selections, damage resistance, easy to create. We have MP3, MP4, and Wave, and so on, which has a lot of advantages actually, which is very high quality, and it could be large file size when we talk about Wave. When we talk about MP3, it's the same high quality, almost the same high quality, but the file size will be less. And for the analog, we have the cassette, and we have continued classroom resources. And once again, it's hard actually to find somebody that is still using analog anymore nowadays. So based on the previous slide, which file can be downloaded from the internet or the web? We can actually easily download MP3, we can download Reel, and so on. And we can actually still download MP4 and Wave, but as I mentioned, the size of these files are too high. And here in this slide, we have some of the devices that we used to use previously. Obviously, before the smartphones and the headphones that we now have, we do have a recorder, we do have, music player and so on. So we actually do not use this kind of MP3 players anymore. So why do we actually need good listening skills? And I'm asking here for both teachers and students as well. For teachers, it's going to make the teacher more productive. He can, show support, work better, resolve problems, answer questions. If I'm not a good listener to my students, I will not be able to actually answer their questions. And the same goes for my students as well. They need to be a good listeners. That's why we need to develop the students' listening skills as well. So for the creating the audio itself, previously they have used some, instrument digital interface, MID, and this actually technology for creating the music, for example, GarageBand. And it actually uses lines of sound on a grid. But for the digital synthesizer software, which we use nowadays, it could be created or it could be used for original music, radio programs, audio presentations, and so on. So for you, if you want to prepare some audios that you want to use inside your classroom, it depends on your needs. For example, if you want to create a short voice greetings, then you could use Wave, MP3, IFF, MP4, and so on. For news broadcast, you can use streaming solutions. For background music, you can use Wave, MIDI, and so on. So it depends actually on what purpose that you are going to use this audio for. And then you can select what format to go on. So this is an example for you if you want to use the audio inside your classroom. For example, let's say we have Mr. X that he want to integrate the use of technology and media into his lessons. Then in this case, we can record an audio to use in this classroom. So what ideas does Mr. X provide for obtaining quality audio recordings? How does the use of audio enhance students' presentations? What technology skills do students need to create their presentations? All these questions are a great help for you before you go and create your audio. You need to actually answer these questions, and then I'm sure you are going to come out with a great audio. And you always, after all these questions, when you create your audio, then you can play the audio for your students. Now let's talk about setting up for audio. What are the conditions and requirements for you to set up for using the audio inside your classroom. First, you need to make sure the microphone is in a proper point where it's actually quite far from the loudspeakers, so you cannot actually hear the echo sound while you are talking or the recording play. Then you are going to select which the proper microphone to use. There's actually tons of types of microphone. For example, we have the body style, the handheld, body, shotgun, headset. There's actually a lot of mics that are used, and you need to select which is the most proper way, or most proper mic that you are going to use inside your classroom. And when you want to select the microphone, you need to make sure that this is the proper instrument to use, and the sound quality actually could be affected by the construction, the sensitivity of the mic, and then where the mic is placed. Some mics used to be very close to your mouse while you are speaking. Other mics needs to be far so that it could be more clearer to the students to listen and so on. And now this is the basics of any microphone. How does it work? It actually works on converting the energy from one form to another. For example, the microphone actually converts the sound waves that come out from our mouths into electric energy, which is the audio signal. And there's actually a lot of different types of microphones that have different ways of converting this energy, but they all share one thing in common, which is the diaphragm. This is actually a piece of material such as paper, plastic, aluminum, and so on, which vibrates when the sound happens. When the sound waves goes into the mic, then these pieces or device started to vibrate till to the sound is located on the other hand of the mic. So this is actually the basic way of how the microphone works. For the construction, there are three basic construction types: dynamic, condenser, and reborn. The dynamic microphones are the ideal for general purposes use. It's not for only one purpose. If you are looking for most common used microphone, this is the dynamic. And then we have the condenser microphones, which requires more power from external battery and so on. And the Reborn microphones are generally the most delicate and most expensive microphone that is used for professional use. For example, for the radio stations, for shows and so on. This is the first type, which is the dynamic microphones, and as I mentioned, it's the most popular for live sound, and it can handle volume sound as well. And for the condenser microphone, it's most popular for recording purposes. If you are looking to record whether podcast or YouTube videos, this is the type of microphone that you are going to need. And these are some of the pictures for Reborn microphones, which is very sensitive and very expensive, and it has a unique sound quality to make the sound very clear. If you listen to some music videos on YouTube, when they use this kind of mics, it's very clear sound. And then for the polar patterns, we have three types actually: omnidirectional, unidirectional and bidirectional. The omni first one is, it picks up the sounds evenly from all directions. So you put it, for example, in the middle of the class, and it picks up sounds from all the audience inside the classroom. Unidirectional picks the sound from one direction only, and for the bidirection picks up sound from two opposite directions. This is actually a figure that explains how the omnidirectional use. As I mentioned, we put the mic in the middle of the room, and it starts to, picks up the sounds from everybody inside this room. Now for this type, it's cardioid, which means the heart shaped, as you can see here in the figure, which is the type to pick up, pattern these music cues. Sound is picked up mostly from the front, but not lesser than, the extent the side as well. So this side in the bottom of this circle, the here as a this side, the mic will not pick up any sounds. Now for hypercardroid, it's actually the same as the previous one, but it has an additional part here. So how it works is it's very directional and eliminates most sound from the sides and rear due to the long thin design of hypercardroids, and it's actually used for isolating the sound from any subject or direction when there is a lot of noises in the room. And for the bidirectional, as we can see here, it goes only into three main directions, as we mentioned. So as you can imagine, there is a lot of situations which require this polar patterns. If you want to, you as a teacher, and then you want to listen from the students as well, then you can use this bidirectional mic. Now for the microphone impedance, which means that whenever you go, low impedance is better than the high impedance because it's going to be more quality for the sound to come out. All right, so the impedance is actually an electronics term which measure the amount of opposition a device has to AC current, such as audio signal. So all these information, it's all about the the best quality that we can get from the microphone. So make sure the impedance is lower as you can, so that you can get a high quality sound. So as I mentioned, if the impedance is high in the microphone, then it's going to be a bad quality. So you can notice that a low impedance mic is very expensive. So make sure to select a low impedance microphones, even though they are somehow expensive, but the quality is totally different from high impedance microphones, which are usually very cheap, and that is why they are actually cheap, because the quality of the sound will be very bad. Now finally, for the loudspeakers, this is actually going to be a discussion in the class, how they work, and what are the different types of loudspeakers, and which is the most effective and appropriate to use depending on the location, depending on the purpose of the speakers, loudspeakers. So this is going to be our discussion for the class, and that's it for audio in teaching and learning. I hope everything is clear. And as usual, we'll see you guys online next week. Till then, take care, stay safe, and bye bye.